Hey guys, welcome back to Crazy Dave's Kitchen. It is Christmas 2025. All right, what do I got for you now? I'm gonna make a really amazing cream corn. Now, it's not just any cream corn, it's 100% homemade. But first, I gotta give credit to the original person or organization that inspired me to create this. And it's a restaurant called Gullivers. They're in Orange County, California by John Wayne Airport. Been there for many, many years. They're a British English pub, like a steakhouse. And their cream corn is worldwide famous. You can get that recipe online. In fact, I'm gonna post that recipe as a link so that you have it. Now, what's different is with me, Crazy Dave, I always like to kind of modify the recipe. So when I do my researches and present you guys with the ideas and stuff, it's because I picked up on different recipes and I kind of added my own twist to it. This one is actually awesome. A lot of times when I go to different family functions, I get requested to make this. But this year, it's slightly different. Well, sit back, relax, enjoy as I show you how to make some amazing cream corn. All right, guys, so off camera, I did smoke the corn. But what I did with it is I took just regular canned, corn kernels, emptied out the water, and I threw it into a baking dish and I threw it into my smoker. Now, what did I do is I did not turn the smoker on. I cold smoked it for a couple of hours so that the smoke is really flavored in this corn without cooking it. So the corn is still raw. Then I threw it into my freezer. I weighed this out because I'm doing a double batch. So here, this is a total of 40 ounces of some frozen corn. Okay, now, another thing that you got is I like to add cheese. And I put 1 bag of cheese on each one of these little trays I've got so that way I can portion. So I'm making 2 trays, okay, a double batch. So you got 2 bags of cheese. You got 8 ounces. It doesn't matter what cheese you use. I just like to use a more of a cheddar-based kind of cheese, and I want that nice and cheesy, flavor to go with it. All right, so you got the cheese. We've got the corn. You're gonna weigh out some heavy cream corn. I've got 16 ounces of that right here in this little cup. I've also got 16 ounces of whole milk. Now remember, don't use a non-fat or a low-fat milk. It's gotta be a whole milk. I've got a 1/4 stick of softened butter. Over here, I've got some flour. This is actually about 4 tablespoons of flour. And then right here, this is my mixture. Open that one up for you guys. And this one, what I did is I put the sugar in, and this is actually going to be 12 teaspoons of sugar. And I also added my own little spices. So this has got a little bit of some spicy serrano peppers that I smoked, and a little bit of some cayenne pepper. Okay, and then you just mix that together. Now, we're going to go right into the pot, to the stove, and we're going to put all of this together. All right, so first you grab a big pot. Trust me, you're gonna need a big pot. Turn it on high, okay? Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna start grabbing your ingredients, okay? Very simple. You're gonna combine everything into this pot except for the last 2 ingredients, which will be the butter and the flour. So right now, let's go ahead and grab the big, huge bag of corn. We're gonna dump that into the pot. Boom, there you go. All right, the corn is now in the pot. You can use a big wooden spoon because you're gonna need this. You're gonna need something thick because it's gonna be hard to stir. So you're just gonna take the corn, mix it up a little bit, okay? Let that kind of sit there for a little bit. Now, we're gonna start adding the other ingredients. So first, we're gonna add the whipping cream, okay? We're gonna just dump it in there. Get it all in there. And if you want, you can set that on there temporarily real quick, because it's not that hot yet, okay? And if you're really, really concerned about everything, you can actually grab a little, spatula and get it off. No big deal, okay? Not much waste there. Throw that in the sink. Now we're gonna go ahead and throw in the milk. One ingredient I forgot to mention to you guys is the salt. You will use a little bit of salt. I don't like to use a heavy amount of salt, but the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon for the batch, double batch, 2 teaspoons. We're not going to go ahead and do all that right now. We're just going to do a little bit of salt. And now we're going to add the sugar along with the serrano peppers. Okay, there we go. And we're going to use a little bit of the salt that I got over here, some pink Himalayan salt. Okay, upside down because it's actually a grinder. So we're just going to take some of it and kind of get it in there. Do it a little bit here. Okay. You know, I don't want it too salty. I just want a little bit of the natural Himalayan sea salt. All right. Now, what you need to do now is you need to start mixing it because you'll see it's hard. Why? Because you mix the cream with the frozen corn. So it's really hard. You got to like push, and you'll see it's still starting to clump up. And that's why it's really important now you start to use your wooden spoon and start pushing down and mixing it because you want to now start breaking it up. It's really important. You do want to use frozen corn. It's just something about the recipe. I've tried it with just regular, canned corn and non-frozen versions, and it just did not come out the same. All right, now we're going to let this sit there for a little bit because you do need to bring that to a boil, okay? But now make sure you stir it every now and then. Get it up to a boil. Now, once it starts to boil, I'll bring you guys back for the next step. So the corn is still kind of warming up here. Just remember, you got to stir it every now and then, and we're still waiting for it to boil. In the meantime, what I did, I took the butter, okay, and I threw it in the microwave real quick to kind of melt it, let it sit for a little bit so it cools down. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding the flour mixture to the butter, and then I'm going to use a whisk to whisk it up. When you're done whisking the butter together, and do it slowly, it's going to come out, I guess they call it a roux, so it's going to come out really thick. Set it off to the side and keep waiting for your corn to start to boil. And remember, keep mixing it every so often so it doesn't burn on the bottom. The corn started to boil. You can see it over here up to the side right here. I'm going to mix it up, and you'll see this start to steam. So this is exactly what you guys want. Mix it up. Now it is boiling, okay? So now at this time, this is when we're going to go ahead and add the roux to it, okay? And actually, no, my bad. It says to let it simmer for 5 minutes, so I totally missed this step. So we're going to turn it down, and we're going to turn it down to a low setting, now that it's boiling, and we're going to let it simmer for 5 minutes. In 5 minutes now that this baby has been simmering, so it's time that we just move that wooden spoon up to the side, and we're going to take this little roux here, and we're going to dump it in. Now, I'm going to go ahead and grab this little, like a spoon or something, and we're going to scoop this little roux out, like so, and we're going to drop it into the pot, okay? So we're just going to keep scraping it, drop it in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a whisk, and we're going to use the whisk, and we're going to start whisking in this flour, okay? Now, if you got a little bit on your spoon, that's, you can still, get it off, kind of stir it around in here, and it'll eventually fall off, okay, because of the heat. We're just going to stir that in here. There you go, see? Now, I'm going to go ahead and grab the whisk. I'm going to remove my wooden spoon temporarily, put it off to the side. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to take the whisk, and we're just going to start whisking in that flour butter mixture, okay? And you got to make sure you whisk it pretty good because you don't want someone to get a whole mouthful of buttered flour, when they're eating your creamed corn. So we're just going to go ahead and keep mixing it. Now, you're also going to notice as you're mixing, because now we got that butter and we got that flour mixture in there, it is starting to thicken up, okay? But keep mixing a little bit. You want to mix this really, really good. I would say, give it a good stir for a couple of minutes, under the low simmer mode. We want to mix well. Now, once you get it, a good mixture going, and you can see it's starting to thicken up, at this time, you can go ahead and turn the heat off. Let it sit for a little bit. See how it's starting to thicken up? And let it relax, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and stir it every now and then as it's cooling down, okay? Once this thickens up a lot, that's when we're going to go ahead and transfer it to my serving trays, and we're going to add the cheese mixture to that and do something really special. After a few minutes, you'll see that this stuff is starting to get really thick. Look at that. And you'll see it's almost like a corn chowder, looks like. See, it's nice and thick. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove this pot from the stove, and this is where we start laying it into our serving pans. If you want to use a glass baking dish, that's fine. You can, but I like to go ahead and put it in the serving dishes because, again, I'm taking them to a family gathering. But let's go ahead and do the next step, and that is the cheese. So you'll see I got 2 baking dishes here. We're going to go ahead and grab the pot, and we're going to just start pouring, about half the mixture in it, okay, in each one, give or take. If you're really cautious or kind of like, you got the OCD on this thing, you know what, you can go ahead and actually grab your scale and weigh it. I'm going to go ahead and grab my little whisk here, and I want to get this little bit off here. All right, there we go. Now remember, this pan is really hot, so you gotta kind of be careful with that. Set it off to the side, put it in the sink. All right, now we're just gonna let this sit a little bit, shake it around. And then I could have honestly put it into one tray. It's just that my family likes to take some of it home, so I decided to make a separate tray for my mom, and that way there she can have her own cream corn to go home with. All right, now, cheese. Remember this? And Crazy Dave, I love cheese, okay? We're just gonna go ahead and open the cheese. And again, we are adding 8 ounces of cheese to each one of these trays. So just go ahead and, spread it out and get that nice and coated. Oh man, that looks so good. All right. And again, we got the whole bag here. Just spread it out. All right. I'm going to do that with both bags. Then I'll bring you back for the next step that's totally awesome. Both trays have now been coated with the cheese, and this is the step I like. You can do it one of 2 ways, or actually one of 3 ways. You can throw this pan back into your smoker if you like, and melt the cheese that way. You can throw this pan into your oven under the broiler, get the cheese nice and coated. Or you can do what I do, and that is I use a heat gun. That's right, just an old-fashioned heat gun. I'm going to put it on level 2 on high, and what I do is I start melting the cheese, okay? And you want the cheese to get a little bit on the brown side, so you're just going to go ahead and move the gun around, and we're going to melt the cheese, okay? And you want it to be kind of like I said, looks like it went under a broiler, and just kind of go back and forth until it's nice and done. Once it's done with that, I'll bring you back to show you guys what it looks like when it's all finished. Now, this is what the finished product looks like once I took the heat gun to it. You can use, again, blowtorch, you can use your oven, the heat gun, you can use your grill. Just make sure you get it nice and colored like that. You gotta melt that cheese, make it amazing. Now it's time to put the lid on it and time to take it to Christmas dinner. All right, guys, well, that is how you make the Gulliver inspired cream corn for Crazy Dave's way. Now, what do I have here? This is the newest employee of Crazy Dave's Kitchen. Take a look. Her name is Justice. She's a 100% purebred boxer, okay? My brother-in-law actually breeds them. He has been doing it for over 15 years. I always do a DNA test on all my dogs anyway, just regardless. And hers came back all the way back to great-great-great-great-grandparents, 100% pure on both sides. So, if you guys are ever interested in picking up a boxer, hit me up, let me know. My brother-in-law has mailed or shipped his dogs across the country. People do want his dogs because of how pure they are. Again, this is Justice. She is the newest chef in the kitchen, my little sous chef, and she will be my taste tester as well. Hopefully not too bad because I don't want to make her too fat like Indy and Liberty. They were pretty good taste testers, but this one so far is amazing. And again, her name is Justice. She will be featured in more of Crazy Dave's videos. Well, thanks for watching. Hit that like, subscribe button. I'll see you next time. And